This meeting is being recorded.
Thanks, Landy. Okay, we're starting now. Welcome, everyone, to the November edition of the Professional Series, a special project just for the Leadership Houston Class XL group. We can't get enough of each other. So this is December. This is a little bit delayed. I apologize, but we do have Gerald here presenting on his area of expertise. We're very excited to hear from him. In the past, we've had other members of the Leadership Houston Class XL participate. I think we had Dr. John Edwards. Recently, we had Kareem present. I think we had David Badagauer shared on real estate. All, I think, really interesting topics, including today's. So this has been a lot of fun. I think it's a nice way to keep in touch with folks and continue that learning that connects all of us. I think that's really the consistent thread that leadership. I kind of miss those days where we just sat in and kind of hung out and learned together. And so why not continue that in some form or fashion with these sort of monthly learnings from each other? Because I sense there's a lot of experts within our own group. We're all experts in our areas. We can learn from each other. Let's go ahead and do that. And so we're very happy to have Gerald with us today. Before I get into his bio and background and then yield the floor, what I like to do typically on these is also have some time for announcements, because we have this wonderful GroupMe page and Facebook page. And I'm sorry I rushed through. I meant to look through the Leadership Houston alumni page as well. So Claudia, if there are any announcements from the large organization, I welcome them during this announcement period after I share kind of the few things I was able to capture from our group meeting. Can y'all see the announcements?
Yes.
Okay.
You see the word announcement.
Yeah, so it's my slide deck announcements. Okay, cool. So just kind of a highlight over the past month, what we saw. So this one's from Des, our friend, the president and CEO of the Buffalo Soldiers National Museum. Wonderful holiday event. It happened on December 2nd. The reason I'm announcing it and sharing it here is because they are still accepting donations. If it moves you, this wonderful organization tied to one of our favorite members, please consider contributing to these efforts. It's to support Men Incorporated. It's a mentorship program. I believe maybe several members of our Leadership Houston class are involved. I don't know if Patrick's involved. I know he's also in mentorship. But if it moves you to donate, please contact Des, or I think he'll be more than happy to provide additional info on donations. Oh, here's another. Des is all over the news this past month, so just want to congratulate the Buffalo Soldiers Museum on their recent grant with respect to, let me see, it was Impact 100. So they were screened and selected and identified as an organization worthy of this grant. So congratulations to Des and the Buffalo Soldiers Museum on this wonderful news. This next announcement was shared, I think, by a good friend, Shannon Hunter, and she's part, I think, supporting the Amanda Edwards campaign. She invited everybody. I think it's coming up December 10th, so that's in a few days. There's still time, just from my understanding, to join. I think each adult ticket comes with a child's ticket, but it would be to just be involved. If you're interested in politics and would like to learn more about Amanda Edwards' campaign, it's a great opportunity, and Shannon will be there. You can support Shannon in her efforts with the community. Okay, keep going. Oh, and this one, we just had a party at Rima's house. I think I saw several of y'all there. And for those of y'all that couldn't make it, it was a wonderful time. Rima's not on the call today. She's usually a regular participant in these, but she may see the recorded version. We wanted to thank her. Wonderful home. A lot of us were there. It was a nice reunion. We saw folks we hadn't seen in a while, like, and George Fotino's came out, and he even admitted, this is the first time I've seen any of y'all since then. I'm like, dude, come to the next happy hour. You know, we're happy to have you. You know, you're part of our family. So really great event. And just please, if y'all have sort of activities you're running in your own networks and have room for us, we would welcome it. We would love to hang out. As there is an opportunity tomorrow, leading into our Thirsty Thursday. These are run by Ramit and David Badagauer. Tomorrow it'll be at the Yellow Rose Distillery. This will be our December happy hour, and they're going to have all sorts of delicious food options. Hope y'all can make it, and I see y'all there. First person to say the secret word, which is Valentine to me, I will buy them a drink. So just so you guys know, Valentine, my middle name, is a secret word. And if I see you tomorrow, you get a drink. I think this was shared by Shannon as well. University Museum at Texas Southern is holding a Basquiat exhibit, really cool stuff. And I believe this is running now through Saturday. If you're into the arts, which I am, and I think many of you are as well, it's a good opportunity to check out an American, basically modern legend, if you will. And I think this is a traveling exhibit that won't be there permanently, but just wanted to put that out there because I know Shannon shared as well with the group. A little plug here. I don't know, was it David that shared recently with the group, but Project Blueprint is taking applications. I am also an alum of Project Blueprint. I think Tiffany told me as well. She's a member. I think she shared. Anyway, it's what this group does is different than what Leadership Houston does. So this is really more for folks that are interested in the nonprofit space, like serving on boards and things like that. If you're not really interested in serving on a board of a nonprofit, then it's probably not suitable for you. But I was at the time I took this. I think I was involved 5 or so years ago. And the United Way, essentially, the idea is that they want to ensure that the boards of the area nonprofits reflect the clientele we service, because we found that the United Way has found that a lot of the nonprofits boards are not connected, I guess, with the communities typically from a background, history, blah, blah, blah. So essentially bringing more of that diversity to the nonprofit space. And so y'all know that I'm the chairman of Family Houston, which is a 120-year-old nonprofit. I actually got my start with them as a graduate of Project Blueprint. After I graduated from this organization, I interviewed with Family Houston, and because I was a Project Blueprint graduate, they were very keen on bringing me on board. And so I was this accelerated essentially my engagement with the nonprofit space. So I recommend it if you're interested, and I'll quit blabbing. This is I think I'm talking a lot because I know a lot about this one. If you have questions, happy to take them, but I think they're taking applications for the next class now, and I'm not 100% sure when their close date is, but it's coming up. All right, holiday cheer, another party coming up. I think Kelly shared this just broadly with the entire class. So if you're here, I unfortunately will not be here. I'll be in Mexico visiting my abuelita for her 89th birthday. But if you can be there, by all means, make it out. Should be a great party. Y'all know Kelly. She loves to throw a good show. So another opportunity to get together. And this is the last note, unless there's anything from our friends at the mothership. But Family Houston is holding a toy drive. And if you have any toys, we would love to accept them. This is through December 16th. Essentially, we would be providing these directly to the clients we serve, and we focus primarily on folks that are at or below the poverty level. And so this is a nice way to subsidize their Christmas experience and give back. And this is a direct, you give it to Family Houston will give it to one of their deserving clients. And so if you'd like to give donation, there's also, I think we're also taking gift cards for grocery stores like H-E-B, Walmart, $25 sort of gift cards. If you're so moved, I'm happy to collect, or anyway, I'll stop talking. But that's available as well for y'all to contribute. I see Key, your hands up. I don't know if there's any reports or announcements from the group, the mothership.
Well, I'm representing Class 40. I have that hat on right now. As a reminder, we have talked about our coming annual meeting, June 27th. And as y'all know, I like to plan really early so that we can be organized and timely. Be on the lookout for an email. We decided on a class gift amount. Thank you very much to Stephanie Taylor for coordinating that poll. So that will be included, but it does require hands on deck for us to secure a location, making sure we are prepared for the program and communicating with the board, and also making sure that it's fun. So we want to show that Class 40 is the best class ever. So we're going to get on this and do great things. So please be responsive to those emails. Thank you.
Thank you, Key. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
Any other announcements that the group would like to share that I did not include? Anyone here? You get the privilege. It's gonna get recorded. Others will see it. No? Okay. Well, if you have announcements for future events, please email them or just post them on the GroupMe page, and they will typically be included in these sessions. Okay. So that's it. Now to move on to the meat of our show, and that's, it says here G Money on his screen, but I'm going to do a quick background, give him his due on the bio side. So the great Gerald Eaton, and I want to say that because he is an award-winning member of our organization, is a proud graduate of Morris Brown College, where he got his BS in accounting, and he also got his MBA in finance from Florida A&M University. I'm looking at his bio page here, and he started off and back as a financial analyst with Halliburton. So started off in the oil and gas space as a financial analyst, moving on to senior financial analyst. He was there about 5 years, moved on to BKD, which is a consulting firm, as a staff accountant. And there he was providing financial analysis reports, performing account reconciliations, et cetera, assisting audit teams, you name it. He's done it. And he moved on ultimately to Ernst & Young. He spent time with one of the big four, as you guys know, EY's with alongside PwC and KPMG, et cetera. He assisted with gap audits for clients within the oil and gas and manufacturing industries, created analysis reports for clients within E&P, upstream and midstream operations, prepared tax and trust returns, et cetera. I mean, you name it. Like I said, he's done in the corporate space. He then, in 2001, founded his own company, Eaton Financial and Tax PLLC. And in that role, he basically was the founder and principal. He provided full service accounting solutions for businesses of all types, including budgeting, financial projections, analysis and interpretation of company financial data, et cetera. And from there, and I talked to Gerald a little bit during our prep call to do that, and he'll share more. He got opportunities to become a CFO in a variety of organizations. So he's been the chief financial officer of Change Happens, the Alliance, Houston Area Women's Center, and he's currently serving as the chief financial officer of Sarah Jobs for Progress of the Texas Gulf Coast. In addition to his professional work, I believe I'm looking at your Facebook page here, and you have, it looks like 3 beautiful children. He's a very proud father and family man, and we all know and love him as G Money. Gerald, I'll stop talking, and you have the floor, sir. Thank you for presenting today.
I need to have you do my introduction all the time. You make me sound like I really did something in life. So
you're amazing,
let me
man.
pull up the screen. Let me go ahead and share my screen for the my PowerPoint, and let me know if you all can.
I just want to mention, while Gerald is pulling up his screen, we know and love Gerald. So he, for whatever reason, was a bit nervous. And as you know, when you think about his background and the fact that he knows this stuff, just like he said, he is the expert. Before you all jumped on, I asked Gerald, would you prefer that we wait to the end to ask questions because you know this stuff? And he said, no, please engage, come off mute, let him show him some love. And let's make sure that we get this information about getting this money.
Thank you, Lanny. And yes, when it comes to presentations, I know it doesn't seem like it, but I do get a little nervous. And I always just tell people, look, I deal with numbers all day long. So when it comes to presenting, what I do is kind of but anyway, let's just jump right into it. As Sergio said, yes, I am a CPA, and what is a CPA? First of all, we got to look at that nice looking young man right there. But that stands for a certified public accountant. We're basically trusted advisors. We help individuals, businesses, and all other organizations. We do almost anything. CPAs go across a gamut of different things. But the one thing I do want to focus on is this last line where it says all CPAs are accountants, but not all accountants are CPAs. So it's a big difference from when you talk to an accountant and when you're a CPA. Now, although there are a lot of people out there, there's some accountants that have just as much knowledge as a CPA. That license comes with a lot of different attributes and requirements that make it better for you to choose a CPA rather than just an accountant. Yes, we are a little more costly, but at the end of the day, we have many more requirements. We're held to a higher standard and things like that. And I'll get into it. You'll see where ethics is part of our requirements on a continual basis. Every 2 or 3 years, every 3 years, I have to take 4 hours worth of ethics education. And one thing I will say about being a CPA, and every state has its own requirement, but being a CPA here in the state of Texas, if there's ever a complaint, you can contact the Texas State Board of Public Accountancy, and they will immediately launch an investigation, and we have to answer to them. So if there's ever any problem and you're dealing with CPA, you have a problem, just contact the Texas State Board, and it will get looked into, investigated, and resolved. And I'll tell you a quick story. There was a requirement that I didn't realize that I had when I very first got my license. And there was a document that I was missing, and I received a letter from the state board, and it said that they're investigating, what this issue was. And I had 72 hours to respond, or else further whatever would take place. And that scared the holy crap out of me. And come to find out, it was just a missing document that I overlooked, and I sent that in. Everything was good, but yeah, they don't play. So, and I know we got a bad rap with the Enron, Arthur Anderson deal, but from that, I know some of you have heard of the Sarbanes-Oxley, what we call SOX, and it really upended, or not upended, but overturned. And we did a lot of different things and new requirements and things like that because of that, because our biggest deal is we need to have the public's trust. And that's the biggest thing about a CPA, and why we have so many requirements, education, things like that, is because the public needs to be able to trust us. So that's really what a CPA is. Let me see. My professional path, as was stated, I went to Morris Brown, got my BS in accounting, bam, Halliburton. When I took the CPA, it took me three tries. Very few people passed the first time. So and actually there's people that take it 10, 12, 15 times to finally get it. So I did it in 3, and again, started my practice. I served as interim and contract CFO, and I used a lot of my knowledge as a real estate investor, and it really helps me out in being able to give value to different properties and things like that. So these are some of the things I've done, and I have been able to use a lot of the information or the experience and education from my CPA path and accounting path to help me out in the real estate. Okay, why choose a CPA? It is challenging, never boring. It's always something new. We have new statutes, requirements, and regulations come out every year. So we do have to keep up. And that's why we have, in the state of Texas, CPAs have 120 hours worth of continuing professional CPE hours every 3 years with a minimum of 20. So you can do 20/20, but then you have to do 80 for that third year, but it's 120 with a minimum of 20. Opportunity, I have meet people, clients all the time. I can be at a party, be a little bit intoxicated, and someone will ask me a accounting question, and usually off the top of my head, I know a lot of it, and then sometimes I just give them a card and say, hey, catch me during business hours, I'm trying to enjoy. Always changing, evolving. Okay. Now to become a CPA, of course, there's three, we call it the 3 E's. You have to have your education, then you take your exam, and then there's experience that you have to get working under a CPA before they give you your license. Now you can be a candidate and you can meet everything, pass the exam and everything, and you'll be a candidate for a CPA, but you won't get your license or not eligible for your license until you get at least that 1 year worth of experience under a currently licensed CPA. Education requires a bachelor's. And I went ahead and got my master's because what they did was I actually was grandfathered into the 120-hour requirement. But the time that I took the test, I had already applied for the test and everything, but since was at 95 or 96, it went to 150 educational hours. So many people that go onto the CPA track, they just go ahead and get their master's in either Master's of Accountancy or an MBA, and that takes care of their hours. But you do have to have 150 hours, which is semester or 2 semesters, an extra year beyond just your accounting degree. Now the exam, this exam has changed and it keeps evolving. Currently, it's computer-based. When I took the test, it was everybody went into the George R. Brown Convention Center, and it was split into 4 parts. You had 1 in the morning on Wednesday, 1 in the afternoon on Wednesday, 1 in the morning on Thursday, and 1 in the afternoon on Thursday. And they were all separate tests and everything. So, and these are the 4 sections. It has changed a little bit, but these are the current sections that you have to take. You know, your audit, your business environment concepts, which is what we used to call business law, regulation, and what to call FARE. Well, it was FARE when I took the test, but FAR is basically your credits and debits and things like that. In addition, go ahead.
So on these exams, is it more, knowledge of the, I guess, process, or are these typically case study kind of, hey, this is the fact pattern, you give me your set analysis? Is it more memorizing the principles or putting them into practice?
It depends on the test. Like for audit is more memorization because you have the different type of audit reports you can do. You can have qualified, non-qualified, things like that. And then even be below an audit is like the highest level of review. But right below that is what we call a review. That's not as high standard as an audit, but there's a lot of organizations or companies that may not have a lot of money, especially in not-for-profit, or may not have the budget for it, and may not receive enough revenue to necessarily need an audit. And so we can do a review. And as long as the review is assigned by a CPA, a lot of times that can pass for instead of an audit. And below that, what we have is a compilation. And that is where a CPA will go in and just prepare the financial statements. Again, each level gives a different level of assurance, but even a compilation for very small organizations or individual individual that own a one-person business or like a single member LLC, a compilation will help them with their banking needs and things like that. And it saves them on cost because for an audit, for let's say a small, and what we call a small, and I'll say not-for-profit because that's what I specialize in. A small not-for-profit could be any, 15 million and below. If they're at 15 million, they're usually going to need an audit. But let's say you have a new startup and they're at 75,000 in annual revenue for the first few years. They can either do a review or they can have a CPA, complete or compile their financial statements to be able to get take to the bank for maybe small loans or SBA loans and things like that. So they just want an assurance that someone certified, someone that knows what they're doing, has put together and put some type of assurance on these financial numbers.
Yeah, but it sounds like the test covers kind of, all of it. It's not just, I mean, there is some sort of.
Okay, I'm sorry, let's jump back into that. So like for audits, you have your different level you have your different reports. That's more memorization. For the FAR, that's more of, you have all these transactions, create a income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. For regulation or the business environment, that's business law. That's more of your multiple choice and making sure that you know your laws and things like that. And I know ethics is somewhere in there. So yeah, it just depends. It could be a case study where we have to, write out a summarization of what's going on, or it could be some calculations. My year was the first year that they actually allowed us to use calculators. And that was in '96.
Oh, come on. Well, now you're dating yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a cheap, 99-cent calculator that it just only had the 4 basic functions. Go ahead.
And before it was all just, they expected you to do all of it in your head?
No, they gave you paper and pencil. So you had to do everything by hand. And so that's what I kind of studied for. So I really didn't use my calculator much, unless it was like maybe a long division where I was like, okay, I don't have time for that. Let me go ahead and do that. But for the most part, I actually did it by hand. And what's funny is that even still today, my staff, when everybody wants to use the accounting software, I'm like, hey, something's not right. I can't put my finger on it. And I'll tell everybody, get out paper and pad. We're getting ready to do this by hand. With T accounts and things like that. Now I'm not going to get into T accounts and things like that. It's getting a little too specific, but yeah, we will do things by hand to make sure to make sure that the software is working or set up and we have entered in information correctly.
Sounds like a good practice. Well, thanks for answering my question. I think I understand a lot more now. So appreciate it.
Okay. It is the same test nationwide. Passing score of 75, and I chose that epic fail. I saw that on the internet and I thought that was kind of funny because you can get a 74 and they're like, nope, got to retake it. Ouch. So there is no going back, there's no curve or anything, and the score is what your score is. And then next, the questions include multiple choice, simulation, written communication, and the eligibility to sit does depend on state. Although it's the same exam nationwide, each state has its own eligibility to be able to sit and take the exam. And that's where you heard me say earlier, the Texas State Board of every state has its own board that has different requirements and things like that. Texas has one of the most stringent requirements.
Yeah.
So,
is there reciprocity with other states?
There is. I know Texas and California, of course, I'm from California, so I did look into that. We do have reciprocity. We just have to contact the board and, with Texas and California. But there are some states that, like Texas may feel, maybe North Dakota, and that was the first thing came to mind, first state, may not be stringent enough. So they'll say, no, you need to take some additional stuff here to be able to change it here. But again, it just depends on the state.
Cool, thanks.
But that's what experience. Am I going too fast? Okay, experience. Now, a candidate is they apply for the CPA. Like I said, you can have your education, you have your qualification to sit, you pass. But if you don't have the experience, you will not be licensed yet. Many states require 1 to 2 years of experience under CPA. And the requirements vary by the state. The type of work, the employer, education. The state boards of accounting determine the laws and rules for each state or jurisdiction. Like I said, Texas requires 1 full year of non-routine accounting work experience under a direct supervision of a licensed CPA. And I've actually had people that were candidates that worked for me where I provided them that write-off as their supervisor under a licensed CPA.
Gerald, I had a question.
Yes.
And I'm really blown away by the amount of investment that is really required to become a CPA. So I'm blown away, impressed, all of those words. It sounds kind of similar to like if you're becoming a psychologist or almost like a doctor, right? It's not just passing the test, but also the and you might be about to get to this, but it's not just passing the test, it's also the experience, and that's often what's missing. So I'm thinking about our future generation and those who are to come. Can you speak a little bit about how to get our folks, our kids and young folks who are interested in, who have that attention span of 7 seconds, how to get them interested in something that requires this much commitment? Like, what does that look like are you all on the rise in terms of who's coming into the industry, or is it one of the things that you all are kind of reassessing things?
It's give and go. Becoming a CPA, like you said, is like a lawyer where they got to have the experience, the bar and things like that. And even when you do get your license, you're starting off at the bottom. You go out and you try to get clients and things like that. And you're like, how long have you been doing this? Or do you have experience in this? So working for a big four goes a long way. And even your larger regional accounting firms, but it's hard to catch someone that does not have an attention span unless this is their desire. And I have a lot of people that come up want me to mentor them, or they ask me questions about getting into the field of accounting. And one thing I do is I say, do you enjoy working with numbers day in and day out? If that's not your passion, this is not the field for you. You have to have a passion. And that's really the only way that you can and instead of trying to gather up a pipeline, it's more of, hey, let's weed out those that will do our industry a disservice, because you don't want someone in there that's going to do a half-ass job or do things that make the whole industry look bad. I mean, could look at what happened with Enron, as I mentioned earlier, in Arthur Andersen. You had some unscrupulous people that came in and did those things, and then we're still feeling the effects of that. So I look at it more of, how do we weed out those that would not do a good job? And you just have to look for those that truly have a passion for numbers and that wants to do things like that. But the one good thing about accounting is it is so broad and it encompasses so many different things. I mean, you can take accounting to your CPA into financial planning or wealth management, picking stocks or insurance, tax, tax. You even have tax lawyers, or you have fraud accountants, which I've actually been kind of looking into lately, because that's really interesting, because you get to go after and you look for fraudulent type activity, forensic accounting, things like that. So it's so broad that you can catch someone and that they could be really, really interested and have the passion for that part. And you can just sell it as, hey, this is just a necessary part or an integral part that will really, really help your career, having this behind your name. So that's how I see and how I address and how I, talk to people that ask me about that.
Thank you, Gerald, and thank you for your service. I can hear your passion. It does require a commitment. It won't come from me, and I don't know if it'll ever come from my kids, because I started smoking cigarettes when I left the Michigan Business School, and I never smoked cigarettes before, but taking the accounting exam. So thank you for your commitment and your passion.
Now we can jump, like the licensure, again, once you become a candidate, the state board for each jurisdiction, they have their requirements, licenses. They give you the right to practice public accountancy. And as a CPA and certified with the state of Texas, we get a monthly newsletter, and it'll tell us who's been barred, who's been suspended, who's had action against them, and they'll put you on blast. That's why I say the Texas State Board, they don't play. they put you on blast. And it's funny, they have about a page and a half worth of names. They'll tell you what the name of their company or organization, where they are, whether it's in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, even some little small rural town up in near Midland or something. They will put you on blast and let you know who should be practicing and who should not. And they take it seriously. And as you can see with this ethics exam, some states require even more than Texas, but that is very integral, that is very important. Let me just jump to a different word. That's very important, because I've had people ask me, different things, especially with taxes and things. I'm like, no, maybe you can find someone down the street that does his mom and pop deal that's not registered and that's not licensed, but not me. So we do have continuing professional education, which I said earlier. And we have to in Texas, we renew every year. So, and we have to put down what CPE courses we've taken, and it keeps track. And if you don't have it, they will not issue your license. There was one year where I got behind on my CPE, and I just tried to do my renewal and send it in. They sent me a nice letter saying, okay, thank you. We got your renewal fee and we got your renewal application, but you will not be getting your license until you finish this.
Must have been scary.
And what's funny is that I had a client who needed a letter from me for a mortgage. He was a self-employed person and he needed a letter from the CPA. And the mortgage company actually looked me up because I wrote the letter and I signed it and everything. They looked me up and they told my client, they're like, well, his license is expired.
Uh-oh.
I was like, oh crap. So I had to hurry up and finish my CPE and I sent it in. We got it all straightened out. But like I said, they do not play.
Yeah.
And so I just now know I need to be on time.
It's a good lesson.
Yeah. I pulled this, I just did a little simple research, and so you can see some of the potential earnings. Although this is kind of like an average or whatever, your earnings potential can be way more than this 125 top salary for CPA, depending on where you go. And like I said, you have CPAs that have done so many different things. Years ago, I went to buy like a salvage yard, and I was meeting a person, and because he had a car that I ended up buying, but come to find out he was a CPA and he ended up starting his own salvage business.
Wow.
A couple of years later, I don't know who has heard, those in the real estate business, have you heard of Zeus Mortgage? Stephen Kaufman is the founder of Zeus Mortgage, and I met him at the Rich Club, Real Estate Investment Club of Houston, years ago when they had the meetings at U of H. Come to find out, he was a CPA. He ended up using his CPA into the mortgage business. Now, he is a proud owner of a multi-million-dollar mortgage company that does residential and commercial. And he's a CPA. So you can do so much with a CPA. And when you say, yes, I'm a CPA, a lot of times people just give you immediate kudos, like, wow, and attention and recognition. So that's why I'm saying, although these earnings are up there, it can go beyond that. Where I jump into here, employment outlook, and Landy, you asked about that. Yes, we continue to grow because this is one field that's not going anywhere. As long as you have corporations, you have the need for accounting. So as long as you have any type of business, you have the need for accounting. So we're not going anywhere. There's a lot, you see the paths that you can take, and there's so many different ways that you can take this. So Landy, to answer your question earlier, that's really one way that you can sell this, is like, depending on what your passion is, this is how this can help you in that career. And it gives you like an automatic respect. No matter what you say CPA, people automatically, know what it entails. So
that makes sense. And one other quick thing, Gerald, that I see information systems on here. and kind of thinking about how we've all evolved to so many practices regarding our money that does require online, tools and things like that. So like fintech is a really big deal, and understanding how to process payments, and so that's at the end of it, right? But I'm learning so much from you that there are so many factors and details, and as you said, this love of numbers that can pair with what we need to, how we use our tools and use these practices in the future as well. So I thank you for making this really, really plain. I really appreciate your level of detail.
And you talking about information systems, a lot of people would think that you look at IT and wouldn't necessarily think of, oh, what can a CPA do? But look at all of the systems, as you were talking about, your accounts payable systems now are becoming more and more automated. You're even dealing with your banking, their interfaces and things like that. You have to have someone that knows what the process should be so that they can create the algorithms and the formulas and things for it to come out correctly. So a CPA can easily go and say, and like I do, I'll just do it by hand, like this is what the answer should be. So if your system is not saying this, then there's something wrong. So again, just being a CPA or an accountant you can do so many different things with that because it crosses so many different fields and so many aspects of your life. Let me see next.
And I see here real quick, Gerald, I see that it's projected to grow 6%, the industry.
Yes.
And is that because
like I said,
additional regulations? Because I know that's something that you mentioned you kind of stay on top of, and there are always new regulations. So where does that 6% growth come from? Is it that you just see additional needs in the future, government or otherwise?
Well, it could be a variety of things. I didn't research that detail. Didn't perform that detailed research to say why it's only 6%. I would have thought that it would have been higher because again, it crosses so many, and it's almost like you can take this career and go almost anywhere else. But it's hard to come into it business related. I should say business related. You can go almost anywhere business related with an accounting degree or as a CPA, but if you try to come to become a CPA, you have to go back and get additional training and things like that and licensure. But the growth, it's not just that the regulations and things change, because that actually changes as business changes. So that's not anything that you can necessarily predict. But although we do know is that as we grow in the number of businesses, there is going to be need for more accountants.
Sure.
So, and we also have a push for, going out and seeking accountants as well. So the AICPA, which is American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, is like the nationwide watchdog. And they're the ones that look at all of the regulations, the new standards and things like that. So if you have something coming up or a current rule that needs to change, they will look at that and they do their due diligence. And usually it takes for a standard to change or for a new one to come in place, it takes, anywhere from 3 to 4 years, because they do a review, they send it out, they test it, and then they come back and, what information have we got and how can we improve or what didn't work and things like that. So yeah, things do change, but I think that most of that growth has to do with the growth of the economy or the growth of number of businesses.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Typical conditions, although it says 40 hours Monday through Friday, I'm pretty sure most of you know that accountants are working almost all of the time because, like you said, almost every aspect of their life has to do with accounting. But during tax season, for tax accountants like myself, there's limitless hours. Although we don't have it, we're working on weekends, working on vacations and things like that. Working indoors, of course, if you have your own practice, you can work indoors or outdoors, whatever, and travel, yes. But I put this slide on here because I love this slide. This week I achieved unprecedented levels of unverifiable productivity.
Story of my life.
I love that.
Yeah, it's good.
And that's basically what I have. I have actually put on like the 12 frequently asked questions, and it deals with, and you guys can take a look at this. Is the CPA, I'll look at that. Is the CPA exam worth it? Yes, it is. And one other caveat, it was funny because although I put my path in that I went and I took the test, I actually went to go get my MBA because I said that I did not want my CPA. But the recruiter who became my mentor at Halliburton told me that he basically said, hey, we're on this project. This project is on hold. You're not up here. You're doing nothing up here. We're paying for your review course. We're paying for your test. So you get your butt over there and you get that test. And that's what made me take the test. He actually made me take the test. I was not going to take it.
Wow.
And another thing, and that's where actually the mother of my kids, we met at the CPA exam.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for him making me take that test, I would not have met and been married to my ex, and would not have had, my kids.
That's right.
So, things happen for a reason, and things work out. But yes, in my case, was this CPA exam worth it? Hell yeah, it's worth it. I got 3 beautiful kids from it. I got a career. And things a lot of things happened because I had my CPA license. So how long does it take to take CPA exam? And like I said, I've known people that, although it took me only 3 tries, I know people that were in the double digits of attempts before they finally passed.
Is there a limit on the number of times one can take the exam?
No, you just have to keep paying for the exam.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that you limit your finances, I guess.
Yes. And most companies that do pay for it, they will limit the number of times that they will pay for it, though.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there's people that have just said, forget it, and just gave up. So it's not an easy test.
No.
How much does it cost to retake? Oh, the fee for retaking the exam varies between $50 and $200. You see that on the bottom question?
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's some additional resources, and thank you. That's my presentation.
Awesome.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, so let's open it up to our friends, our Leadership Houston classmates. I did have a quick question just to kick it off. From a personal perspective, let's say I have my own budget and finances, and I have investments, I donate, and how could I work with a CPA to help me ensure that I have good tracking of my own, just basically fund and budget, I guess, money. How could I work with a CPA basically as an individual?
Well, you just said it. Actually, having a personal accountant or an accountant that you work with, and the longer you work with that, the more you guys get to know. And there are suggestions that come up. Say, for instance, if you and I if I was your accountant, we've been working together for 5 years, and there's something in the pipeline with a new regulation coming up. And it's like, you know what? That affects Sergio. Sergio, I'll get on the phone. Sergio, you may want to look at this and this and this. This is going to occur, and this is how you can get ready for it. And on the flip side, if you know that there's going to be a change, for instance, I have several tax clients. They'll let me know I'm about to start a business, or I'm about to close down a business. Hey, I'm about to get married, or Gerald, I'm pregnant, and this is what you want to start looking at. So there are suggestions that's being made, and the longer you work together, the more you know about each other, and just the more resources that can be that CPA can provide you and guidance.
Yeah,
but there are some times where some things may occur, like, and I've told people, that one's above my pay grade, or, for instance, there's some clients that I have that owe a lot in back taxes, and I'm not the expert at getting the, what they call it, the offers and compromise. That's a tedious process with the IRS, and I still have not gotten that down. So, but there are people that specialize in that, and that's where I'd say, for this particular item. And I know sometimes people don't want, oh, you don't know this. No, I don't know everything. There's no way in hell I can know everything. So, but I do have, other places or other resources in, hey, let's look at that. And again, the longer, you work with your CPA or accountant, they are able to know other resources that can help you out. And that's the sign of a good CPA as well.
Yeah, for sure. Good advisor. Open it up. Any questions from the audience?
I have, first of all, I want to give kudos to Gerald. Let me tell you, Gerald, this was a great presentation. As a person who's married to a former accountant, I fully appreciate how manic your schedules can be and your commitment to your clients and all it takes to be successful. But most of all, I appreciate that big personality you have that normally does not align with the accounting role. So I just have appreciation for that. I am honored to be in the class with you, and you are a wealth of knowledge. I will be reaching out to you.
Okay. And I do let people know, I say, I'm not your typical accountant. So now when I get my zone and we're at work, you may be like, Gerald, this is not what you portrayed yourself to be before. And I'm like, this business.
That's right. But we can go have drinks after though.
Oh yeah. And once the business stops, for that day or whatever, I'm back to let's enjoy. Because I do believe in enjoying life. And accountants, I used to hear that we had one of the highest alcoholism rates and one of the highest smoking rates because of the pressure that's put on us. And it is a lot of pressure. Even like my role now is, and I didn't get into the, I did do a lot of contract and interim CFO jobs. And where I am now, it is a lot of pressure. Because there are things, I have to look at making sure our bills get paid, and more importantly, our employees get paid. And that's one thing that I do pride myself on. We don't have bounce checks, and we pay our vendors. Sometimes I may have to call and like, hey, this is a not-for-profit, give us a week or two and we'll, go around. But there are times where our bank balance got so low to where I'm sitting at home like, how the hell are we gonna pay our employees? So, but I made it happen.
Stressful.
And that's one thing I pride myself on.
Thanks, Keith. Any other comments or questions from our friends? All right. Well, hearing none, I want to thank Gerald again for putting together. I know you took time out of your very busy schedule to put these slides together and participate. Gerald, you did fantastic. I knew you would. We all knew you would. No reason to ever be nervous, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And, you all have my information. And if there's any time you have any questions, anything, if it takes too much, usually I'm one of those that if you have a question, if I know off the top of my head, I'm letting you know if, quick 5 minutes. If it requires research, then we have to talk about, okay, let's engage in some type of business transaction. But general questions, I'm always here for you, especially, as classmates, I allow for a lot more flexibility as far as, hey, you know what, I can find this for you. I can help you out with that because that's what we're all here for. Help out each other.
Absolutely. So reach out to Gerald if you have any questions on CPAs, on finance. He's your man. I want to thank Gerald again for being part of this. Our next professional series will be later this month, the December edition. I will be the content talking about anti-corruption compliance with Gerald as our moderator. So we'll do a flip, and that date will come either the 20th or 29th. We're confirming with Gerald's side shortly, but hope to see you there. If not, see you tomorrow at the happy hour. It'd be great. Thanks, everyone. And this concludes the November session. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Gerald. That was great.
Thank you.
All right. I think, how do we start this recording, Landy? Let me see here.
Oh, can we